everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And I've been kind of on the theme of whites, reds that go with kind of the late spring, summertime fare. And one of those whites that everybody likes to drink, actually it's kind of a year-round thing, is Prosecco. And I've seen this category grow and grow and grow. I remember back in about 8 or 9 years ago when some of the first Prosecco started coming out and people didn't know what they were. Now everybody's looking for Prosecco. Prosecco is up in the Veneto, northern Italy. There's two areas within that Prosecco DOC, and that is Treviso and Valdobbiadene. And so those two regions, Prosecco is the name of the grape and the name of the wine. It's also, the name of the grape is also called Glera. Glera. Kind of putting that fancy Italian thing to it. Glera is the name of the grape. And it just really rocketed. And one of the things I've noticed though is that Prosecco came in kind of hot and not expensive. Now they're raising the price. And this is always an issue. I know Cava is trying to kind of raise the price of Cavas from the sparkling wine from Spain. And, you know, it's kind of tough. It's kind of a tough direction to go from lower to higher. But, you know, there's a few out there that I really like in the $15 range. There's some really good ones at $12. And, you know, this one, we're going to try two from the Bortolomiol producer. And this will taste a brut and extra dry. One rolls in at around $15, the other one rolls in at about $23. And you will find variations in those pricing based on where you buy the particular wine. But that's what we call the front line. That's the main price of the wine. Now, I just want to say, that being said, as a consumer, we can't expect these guys to keep pumping out $10 to $12 Prosecco. It's not, you know, economically good for the wineries to do that, so we need to kind of suck it up and say, okay, I'm going to start buying these at a higher price. And if you think about it, there's a lot of sparkling wine domestically that goes for a lot more money than that, and we don't even blink an eye when we buy those wines. It's interesting, I know about 8 or 9 years ago when Prosecco first came out, I know I had to explain to people what it was, and I often described it as Avion with bubbles, because Prosecco is very clean. It's done in the Charmat method, not left on the lees. It's done in stainless steel, so it's very clean, sparkling wine. And so that's why a lot of people like it. Doesn't have that yeasty, kind of nutty, kind of bread dough marzipan thing going on. It's a lot cleaner style. So, you know, that's, again, that explains part of its popularity. I've already poured a glass of the first one. Just started to pour a glass of the first one. And here we go. This is the Miol from Bortolomiol. So Miol Prosecco. This is from the Treviso side of the Prosecco DOC. And this rolls in at anywhere between, you can find it anywhere between $12 and $15. Let me show you the label. There you go. And trust me when I tell you that a few years from now, as this continues in its popularity, you're going to see prices go up a little bit. I know that's hard to take, but anything under $20 or anything under $25 is really considered a value. Let's see what we get on the nose. I really like the nose on this. It's I'm getting kind of like a candied apple, like a Jolly Roger apple. Getting a little bit of lime zest coming through. Very perfumed on the nose. I'm really liking it. Let's see what we get on the palate. nice, almost like a peachy, like a very ripe peach element coming through on the backside. A lot of apple notes coming through. And getting like a nice minerality on this, which I really like. Gives it a lot of character. Getting some white flowers. What I really like about this wine, it's a little fruity for a brut. This brut is usually drier than this. But the fruit flavors are balanced by the minerality that comes through, which I really like. I like the flavor profiles on this wine. Might be a little bit sweet for some who are really into that drier style, but it's not too fruit forward. Almost I'm getting that Jolly Roger kind of apple watermelon element comes through on the back end of this wine. I like that. I like that Prosecco. I'm selling it at the store right now for $12. And I think it's a very good value at that price. I'm going to go B- on that. I like it. The only reason I go B- instead of a B is because it's a little more fruit forward than I would expect from a brut. So that being said, that's why I'm going that direction. Let's move on to the next one. So this is the, I guess the upper scale or the upper end of the Bortolomiol line. This is the Superior. This is Bortolomiol Valdobbiadini, I'm butchering that, I know it, Prosecco Superior, and this is also, has a little thing underneath, it's Banda Rossa. So Prosecco Superior, this rolls in at anywhere between $17 and $23, depending on where you buy it. But $23 is the front line, the top price that you'll pay for this one. And once again, what I'm saying is that a lot of people do not want to spend that much on a Prosecco, but they are worth it. Trust me, I've tasted some that are actually done method champenois, which is very interesting. It is on the lees, and that was a very, very interesting and good Prosecco. So we don't want to get stuck in that $12 range, that $12 to $14 range, and say, well, that's all they should be charging for Prosecco. Because guess what? They put a lot more into it. I love the bubbles on this. It just keeps flowing and flowing. They do put a lot more effort into these wines, and the price is justified. And whenever one time I wrote an article for a local wine club, and I said we have to be careful that our mindset isn't always, if it's above this dollar amount, it's not worth it. We have to be careful with that, because what happens is when we get into a wine, and you know, $20 to $30 is not expensive, really, if you think about it. But when we get into that price range, sometimes if we have that mindset, we automatically become totally critical of it, and we say it's not worth that price. So we really have to be careful of that. I caution against that. I know we work hard for our money, but you know, $20 to $30, you know, we'll spend that in a heartbeat on other things. So we have to be careful not to have that mindset. Let's see what we get on the nose with this one. Wow, very, 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 for the lack of a better word, the first thing that came to my mind was pretty. I mean, it's just a potpourri of tangerines and mandarin and orange blossoms and white flowers. There's a little bit of like a soapy component come through. It's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. A little bit of lime candy coming through. It reminds me of a really, really mellow Fruit Loop sort of nose, if you can relate to that. I like it. I didn't know if I mentioned this is done in the extra dry style, so it'd be a little bit sweeter than a brut. I like the nose on this. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is like a fruit medley in the mouth with a little candied aspect to it. So candied tangerine, candied lime, candied oranges, candied mandarin. Good acidity. I mean, it has that candied element, but it has a good enough acidity to kind of keep everything in check. Very vibrant on the palate. I really like that. This is a really mouth-watering, for lack of better terms, mouth-watering Prosecco. Very delicious, very bright. What I like about this Prosecco is you talk about a great Prosecco with sushi, with Asian food, with something with a little bit of spice in it. Maybe like a Spanish rice would be really good with this. I mean, it has that kind of candy-esque sort of thing coming through, but at the same time the good acid, giving it a real good pop on the palate. Good bubbles, nice clean dry finish. I like this one a lot. I actually like it better than the Brut because you're expecting a little more fruit on it because it's extra dry. Yeah, it's you know, I think you can get it for under $20. Top price would be $23. Even at 23 bucks, I think this is a great value. I'm going to go A- on this one. I think it's well done. I think it's got a lot of good elements to it. I think it'll rock your world for a Prosecco. And don't forget how many times you went out there and bought a California sparkling wine, or you bought inexpensive champagne for more than $23 and didn't think anything about it. This one is really good, really delicious, really clean. The finish is still going on and on. There you go, some Prosecco for summer. We may have some more Proseccos we will review going into this. I think this is a great theme. I hope you agree. Comment below. Just looking at wine's good for the grill, good for picnics, good for a sunny day on the back deck, out on the boat, wherever you are. We're looking for those wines. What are you going to buy? What are you going to spend your money on? Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Be willing to expand your palate. Be willing to spend a little bit more on a Pinot, on a Prosecco, if you're going to get a better wine for that. Never let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if we do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.